Our next speaker is Howard's own Al Smith. He was born in Montclair, New Jersey, and is a descendant of a line of artists, traditional sign painters, which includes his father, Alfred J. Smith Sr., and his grandfather, James Alfred Smith. His current works involve choreographing a series of animated paintings called Moving Moments that plays a serial frame of narratives of human gesture flowing in 8-beat music time phrases expressing the work and dance of the vernacular. He's exhibited in several selected solo exhibitions, including Wade in the Water at the Susquehanna Art Museum in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the Procession series at the Studio Museum in Harlem, and included in his selected invitational exhibitions was the 2004 Rhythm of Structure, the Mathematical Aesthetic at the Wilmer Jennings Gallery in Kenkelaba, New York, Transatlantic Dialogue, Contemporary Art in and Out of Africa at the Ackland Museum at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Seeing Jazz, the traveling exhibition that was created at the International Gallery at the Smithsonian in 1999. He's in numerous public and corporate art collections, including the Harvard University African American Studies Center, Howard University, of course, the National Center of African American Artists in Boston, and the Studio Museum in Harlem. Please help me welcome Alfred Smith.
Okay. Well, I come as a senior artist now. The first piece that I want to post is a work that I did while at Boston University that made it into the show Lamp Black at the Boston Museum. Boston artists in New York and in Boston, New York and Boston. But anyway, I chose this work, Impressions of Karma, because we were trying at the time, I felt as though it was happening nationally, to bridge what I would consider chiaroscuro, or dramatic light painting. My teacher was Richard Yard, and I taught under John Wilson and things. But bridging the chiaroscuro aesthetic and what I later became, or started calling, rhythmic realism things. And so in Impressions of Karma, I was trying to paint the music and have been ever since. In terms of painting the music, if you notice in this work, and the center panel especially, could you go to the center one? Larry Rowland is, by the way, Larry Rowland is a poet from Boston that I hung out with at the time, and he is a bass player as well, upright bass player and things. I just got in touch with him recently. We plan on doing an animation of him playing that bass and things. But in terms of this work, if anyone knows, the creator has a master plan by Pharoah Sanders. The plants coming in from a symbolic sun was my way of expressing the horn, or with the tools and the visual language tools that I had, the horn and the gestures. The gestures come from Richard Yard, perhaps, in this frontal and profile pose. And I recall one day, kind of like he slipped me in the hallway, he gave me the book of the Art of Ancient Egypt. And I said, well, man, why did you give me this book? here I'm trying to learn to paint this chiaroscuro, and everybody is flat, and two-dimensional in storytelling in terms of that language. And so in terms of reconciling that language, you see where the other previous one, Larry Rowland, The State of War, and Larry Rowland, The State of Peace, I had this Egyptian hieroglyphics going on in the background telling the story and things. And so this was in 1970. And so the next. Richard Yard also influenced me in Yoruba art. He was telling me, man, I'm trying to learn to play this tenor saxophone. That was one thing. And he traveled to Nigeria. He traveled to Nigeria and brought me back an Agbada robe, a full Agbada robe. And, he was my mentor, he was my teacher, he was my friend, And so I became interested somewhat in African, I'm basically from Jersey and everything, and dancing and things like that. And Jersey was my thing with this African, I remember going to the African Studies Center, and I saw the work of Lamidi Fakeye, this Nigerian wood carver. And Lamidi, when I witnessed from him, I was also trying to learn to play the tenor saxophone at the time and everything, faking playing the tenor saxophone, I should say. And when watching Lamidi, he carved so rhythmically, it was as though I remembered in another life being able to do that. By the way, that's the way my father worked. My father used to draw audiences whenever he painted signs in public because of the rhythm of his hand, and his hands moved like a dancer, And so Lamidi's carving was so percussive, I said I need to go to Nigeria and watch him do that again. I came to Howard in '72, and he was here. He was here in '72 as well. And I saw him do it. I worked a year in Howard. And so my first wife and I, Judy, went to Nigeria to watch. We missed him in '73. When I came back in '75, I spent about 2 weeks with him. And he said, how did you learn to carve this way? And he said, and you're not a Yoruba. He said, if you stay with me for 2 weeks or so, whatever it was, he said, I will show you how to become a little Lamidi and carve patterns and things of that sort. But what I learned was this whole idea of the rhythm of work, and that you charge whatever it is that you do, the method of doing it so that it's real. You charge it with your vital force. You charge it with your work rhythm. And so the key thing that I've done since then, and the key thing that I teach my students, is I try to find their rhythm. I try to find the rhythm in their work, their rhythmic nature. And we developed a workshop that many of my students took, and it was from the rhythm of technique. Anything that you do has a rhythm to it. Any act of life has a rhythm to it. And so from the rhythm of technique to developing rhythm as a technique, to the technique of rhythm. And so next. Okay. And so later, in coming to Howard, and this is a key point that I want to get across, I felt as though, first of all, I would never have developed to being the artist that I am today without coming to Howard. And what I would like to say is that it was something in the air, as Patti LaBelle would say, wherein I felt as though we became a rhythm school. When you think of the people that were around, there was Ed Love, there were the Afro-Cobra artists, and we moved from that chiaroscuro aesthetic till we started painting with patterns and rhythms. The other thing that I failed to mention is that when I was in Nigeria, I was at the University of Ife at once, and this art historian at the University of Ife told me, he said, you see, he says, African art looks like the music, looks like the way the people dance, looks like the way they speak, okay? And the only thing I could think of was visual jazz, is that what we were doing was a kind of visual jazz, or a jazz cloth, in a sense. And so I take this piece is called the rehearsal. And I call it the rehearsal because I knew that I was going to begin to go in and deal with internals. And as a traditional figure painter, this was the last piece I was going to do, and then I was going to take the figure out and work with those rhythms directly. There are things that happen painting this particular work. This is all Bakuba rhythms. The floor is Bakuba, the outside, DC. I got my little DC, but everything collapsed. Everything collapsed to patterns and rhythms, which I think is behind all manifestations. And I won't get into that, and so in working with this, you can begin to see kind of like superimposed motion. You can see me dealing with reconciling what's going on between the symbolic or mandalic suns streaming in the window and pattern floors, pattern rhythms, and things. And there are superimposed motions. And so what I was trying to do way back then, I later went to do non-representational work, finding these patterns, as Romare Bearden would find the rhythm and things. And back now, doing these moving moments, and I'm still trying to, but now I can actually have my figures come on the stage, move or do whatever. And I'm interested in these micro moments, these micro rhythms of gestures that we all experience every day. And so I want to do them to R&B music, these little transitions, and I want to work to, I was listening to Maxwell's new piece this morning. I want to do things in relationship to the music and swing dance and things, and the personality and those gestures. And that's about it. Okay.